place that many call the home of sport, Moreton Park. The Moreton family donated this oval here, this land, their dairy farm, for sport to be played on. And for over 100 years, the Blackburn Football Club, this has been their home. The Blackburn Football Club and this ground, there's many memories that have been built in and around this great place. Many individuals have contributed greatly to the Blackburn Football Club over the years, many families. When I think of families that have contributed greatly to this club, there's a few that come to mind, but I don't think any family comes before the Eade family. Cliff, of course, played in the team of the century here, was named in the team of the century and sadly just died this week. We remember Cliff. But today we're here to pay tribute to Ron Eade, who's been part of this club for 65 years. Ron and his late wife Lois loved this place. This is their home, away from home. And this place has been built on the back of great people like Ron Eade. So Ron, today we pay tribute to you. You often say to me, I want you to do your eulogy. Well, today is a celebration of your great life here at the Blackburn Football Club. And today, many of your friends at the footy club say it now to you in this Say It Now special to Ron Eade.
Congratulations, Ron. Well done. Marvellous time at Blackburn. And all I can think of the old days when we used to have the committee meetings over at your house, and Lois used to make the lovely little, what were they, jam and coconut tarts. I think that's the main reason we kept having the committee meetings over there. But good on you, mate. You've been a great servant of the club, and congratulations.
Well, I reckon I know Ronnie Eade since I was about 12 or 13. I played cricket at Nunawading, and Geezer played obviously at Blackburn back then, and he's been here for God knows since 1945. And all I can remember the guys at Nunawading saying, we're playing Blackburn and that bloody Geezer Eade's playing again. He was as rough and as tough as it gets. Obviously a pretty good sportsman, played in the 1950 premiership in the football here and played cricket here for many years. He's a life member of this club, and for a bloke that everybody spoke so scurrilously about all those years ago to me, he's just a good bloke, and he's a really loyal servant of this club, and we hope he's around for a lot longer.
This is my 10th year at Blackie, and the legend of Ronnie Eade started back in when I arrived in sort of 2007. You come as a sort of young player, and the best and fairest is named after a person. You take a bit of time to get to know him, and he's stuck in the corner. And I do remember just being a young, shy little redhead, and he shouted me a beer, and he said, I don't mind the way you play, boy. He was calling me boy.
Well, I first met Ron when I was president of the juniors, and I think we were moving the coaches' boxes from one side of the ground to the other because there was altercations happening between coaches and supporters. And myself and Kevin Prendergast were down here one day, and they were quite heavy steel coaches' boxes, and we chopped them off at the base and we were moving the other side. And this old bloke came over and said, do you need a hand? And I said, oh mate, you could be struggling with this bloody coach's box. He just about lifted it up on his own, he was that strong. And at that time he was probably, in his early 60s. So that's when I first met Ron. There was no animosity between the seniors and the juniors in Ron's eyes. We were there doing a job, he was there to help us. So that's my first memory of Ronnie Eade, a great man.
He's got the arrogance to park where he likes, which is absolutely well deserved.
I took on the role as treasurer, and as treasurer Ronnie introduced himself, and the first thing he wanted to know was how I was going to handle the money, what I was going to do with it, where it was going. He was very, very keen on knowing the financial. Right throughout the years I was treasurer, very keen on knowing how the club was functioning.
My earliest memories probably go back to about 95 when I first came down to the club. Ron was one of the old guys down near the bar all the time, and as I got to know him, he was a bit of a prankster. And if you'd leave a beer on the table or something like that, next thing you know, you'd find his thumb or his finger in your beer as he handed it over to you. Funny fella.
I can see him right behind you donning a a flat cap, Blackburn cap that definitely doesn't suit him, but it's Blackburn's obviously a huge part of his life, and I've got all the time in the world for Ronnie, and I can't say anything. I can't say a bad word about the great man.
Geezer, what a legend. One of the first blokes I met when I came here. Always gave you his opinion on how you played, whether good or bad. You need to face the truth over in the corner, before, right next to the bar. The boys always filled you in on it, whether it was a good game, bad game, what you did right or wrong.
Rodney Eade, great friend of mine over many years. I've been associated with the club for over 20 years through the juniors, and Ronnie's an absolute legend, especially Thursday nights, selection night. He'd always sing out about team selection, and he'd have a couple of beers and tap me on the shoulder, because I was a local Blackburn person then. He said, "Mate, can you give us a lift home?" I said, "Yeah, okay, I've got to go soon, Ronnie." And then lo and behold, you go up to the bar and get another round of beers. It was about 4 or 5 beers later. He said, "Yeah, I think it's time now." So that was a regular Thursday night.
Geezer's a legend of the club, and I was lucky enough to win one of the Ron Eade medals. So good that we've got a medal that's named after him, because he's probably one of the most prominent members of this footy club, and not sure if the footy club would be the same without him. So special tribute to Ron. Hope you, your family, look after yourselves in this tough time, and keep trucking on.
He's a true legend of every sporting club and everything good about sporting clubs. Love you, Ronnie.
Just a wonderful feeling around the club. It has been for many years. That's what attracts a lot of people back. So I love the man. Yeah.
First person I met at the club was Ron Eade, and I remember his most vivid memory said, "Hey, looking for a game, son?" And I just thought, who is this old fella? And he hasn't changed since I've known him for virtually nearly 30 years. So fantastic bloke. Can't do enough for the club. But knows a lot of people in the club. Just couldn't get a better person for a life member. A great stalwart of the club, and a lot of good memories from Geese, and a lot of good stories. I'll probably not do him justice. You need to get him to do the jokes. But Ron, fantastic fella. I think everyone would say the same.
I met Ron probably back in '93, and he was a grumpy old bastard then, and he still is. But he worked tirelessly in the early years, which I took notice of and appreciated. And I think most of the people in the club appreciated the work he did. Stories, they told a lot of stories, and I've got to admit, you couldn't get away with what they did today. But he's a great bloke, and I look up to him a lot.
Yeah, I'd first heard about Ron in my very first year. Everyone talked about Geese, and this bloke had been around since the 50s. There hadn't been a lot of guys like that, but you quickly realised that Ron was here every Thursday and every Saturday and every Tuesday for that matter. And you quickly became not only a good friend of the footy club, he became a good friend of the family. And that's how I think of Ron today. He's a great Blackburn person, but also a great family friend. And I always look forward to seeing Ron collecting money on a Thursday night. He's still involved in any way he can. So, yeah, Ron's one of the best people at Blackburn.
The biggest memory I think of you and the importance you were of the club was when Peter Jago was president. Basically, the committee was run by 4 or 5 people, and you were there every week supporting Peter, particularly during the day when you retired, getting stuff done. So it's never forgotten. And all the play group knew that, and they always remember you and admire you for doing that for so long. Also, at the Berserk nights, you used to come and help me out, and the next day do all the cleaning up. You're always a great support to me when I ran the social club, and I think there's no better person to be acknowledged, to say it now, event, because I think overall you've been the greatest contributor to Blackburn of all time.
G'day, Geese. Mate, you've always been an inspiration to all us young guys coming through. Always here, always helping, always full of encouragement, but always going to let us know when we do muck up that we had a bad game and bad kits, and love a heckle. But you're a very kind man, and all us younger generation really appreciate all that you've done for the club. So congrats.
My first memory of Ronnie Eades, there's a guy, former skipper Michael Prendergast, when he introduced me to the great man himself, one of the most loyal Blackburn people you'll ever meet. First memory was, he goes, "You don't get the best and fairest named after you for no reason." So clearly an all-time club great, a great community person, still here every Thursday night, every game day. So it's a pleasure to see him around the club, and well done, Geezer. We love you, mate.
He's been a pretty good mate of mine for 30 odd years. Yes. and his wife. A tireless worker for the footy club over the years. He's lost a bit of speed, of course, but his endeavour and his will to see the club succeed is enormous.
When I first joined the football club 35 years ago, Ron was here and he was part of the furniture back then. He's one of those guys that he'd do anything for you, and he's been a stalwart of this club. Even today, you see him emptying the bins and cleaning the rooms and sweeping up after everyone. His passion for this place is probably second to none.
Ronnie to us was like, or to me anyway, it was like the grandfather or the father that you would love to have down the club. Yeah. You just loved him. He was sitting in his spot. He was always interested, wanted to know how you were, how the family was. Gorgeous.
Yeah. Now, geez, I've always wondered, mate, why do you call everybody ugly? They're either dickheads, shitheads, or whatever. But anyway, you're a top bloke, mate. You've been around a long time and love you heaps. See ya.
And Ron's just a living legend. And, I think there's not a person in the place that doesn't respect him and have a lot of time for him, myself included. He's just epitomises everything that this club's all about. He's been here for years and years, and he just bleeds black and red.
And everybody knew him, everybody loved him, and he was particularly a bit of he was obviously a cult figure, because he inspired everyone, knew that was his seat, and everybody would be going up to the bar, and it was a really good spot for him as well, because everybody could always say hello to him, and he would always say hello to him.
Yeah, a great character, always been here, always had a joke, and a very light-hearted sort of attitude, and he loved his beautiful wife Lois, and she was always part of it, and in the latter years we were short on someone for the bottom gate. It was freezing cold day, and he said, "Oh, Lois will do it, that's fine." Lois sat down on the gate and took the money.
Tell the camera what you think about Ron Eade.
Well, a very sincere friend and a reasonable footballer.
In 2007, the club named the best and fairest for the seniors after Ron Eade. So it became the Ron Eade Perpetual Trophy. And in that year, my son Matt, as a 19-year-old, won the best and fairest. And then my husband Mick won the best clubman. So I was very proud.
How many beers has Ron bought you in your lifetime?
I've lost count, I've only got 10 fingers. He's bought me quite a few. Has he? Yeah, but then I've had to buy him back too.
Was he a decent footballer like he tells everyone?
Oh yeah, yes. I never saw him play very much, but because he was always getting sent off by the umpire.
Okay. And in a few words, what does Blackburn mean to you, Johnny?
The comrades and friendship that I've made down there, and there's always a job to do, and that's definitely occupied. No, very good. Champion.
Ron has epitomised the Blackburn Footy Club. When I was lucky enough to be president here, it was Geezer who sort of taught me so much, taught me about the club when I was first of all new as a player and then joined the committee. He helped so much, just with his banter, but with his knowledge, with his work ethic, and I really used him as a bit of a mentor, to be honest. We were just very lucky to have someone of his with his tribe of blokes, with Johnny Reid and Macca and Geese. The work they did around the club was just enormous for many, many years, and they're still doing it today. I used to come to the club on Friday to get ready for the Saturday game, and the boys would be marking the ground, doing odd jobs around the place, and having a few quiet beers after. I think that was probably more the lure at the time. And one story which I sort of look back on with affection, it was a preliminary final in 2002. We were we were down, I think we were probably 1 or 2 goals down. Mulgrave had got onto a lead, and I was standing between Laurie Waterman and Geese, and we basically just said, I think that's it, we're not going to see it. And then, 2 minutes later, we were fortunate enough to win the prelim, and then we go on and win the flag. And it was really for those guys I was most rapt about, because they'd just done so much work over so long, and for them to see a premiership was just very special. So Geese, you've been a wonderful person at the club. Thank you for so many great times, committee meetings, all that you've done for me and my family as well through the times, and all the best.
When did you first come to Blackburn? What's your first memory of Blackburn?
When I was a kid, I'm 1944. And I was a kid, and just came up and wanted to play footy. I wanted a local Blackburn boy, and that's how it started. An old pavilion and all old blokes around the place, etc. I was only 15, but it was good. You felt part of the furniture straight away.
What about Vermont? What do you think of Vermont?
Hate them. Absolutely hate them.
Okay. Baldwin?
Same result.
Is there anyone that you actually like that is a opposition club?
Well, I can't think of a club that I can like. Mind you, Bayswater were pretty good last week. They gave us a free meal and a friendly atmosphere, so that's about the only part I can like about opposition teams.
And in a word, Ron, what's a word that comes to mind when you think of Blackburn? What's the sort of feeling? What's Blackburn mean to you in a word?
Just the love of the club. Just the love of the club.